And now the time is near, and so I send this final podcast. My friends, I'll say it clear. Okay, well, the rest of the lyrics don't actually work as well. It's been a fun 3+ years. What started as a running joke on the independent characters evolved into a podcast that Justin and I started in July 2018, about the same time as the Age of Sigmar second edition. On the show, we've talked about Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Underworlds, Blitz Bowl, Warcry, and the Batman Miniatures game. We weren't a big show in the grand scheme of things, but I hope we added some positive content and some ideas for folks to explore new games. In this final episode, I chat with Joel after the Michigan GT Age of Sigmar Doubles event, where we won the Best Sport trophy. Anthony Brown, my Underworld's co-conspirator, and of course I'm going to finish up with the Keefer of Secrets himself, Justin. I would have liked to get Rob Bishop, Alex Willoughby, John Furehelm, Michael Dunsmore, and Spencer Tejada on for chats as well, as they were involved in many of the landmark episodes. John was the first non-host guest. Michael and I did the Blitz Bowl episode, which ended up being pretty popular. Spencer and I chatted about the cafe opening weekend. Rob and I did Warcry and the Batman Miniatures game. And of course, Alex and Rob joined Anthony and me for 3 on a Match from just 2 episodes ago. I'm super excited to start my new position at the Warhammer store and cafe. Little did I know when I was doing a remote reporting from their opening day that I would get an opportunity to work there. So if you're ever in the area of Monrovia, California, check out this destination store and the special things it has to offer. And who knows, you might even recognize someone's voice while you're there. I'll sign off now with so long, and thanks for all the Ideneth.
Welcome, lords and heroes.
Hello from a table at the Harrow Deep Pub. This is Lords and Heroes, a show about a gamer's journey into the mortal realms and the detours that happen along the way. This episode is going. My name's Adan, and I'm a gamer from Southern California.
And this is Joel, and I'm a gamer from Western Michigan.
Joel, 2 shows in a row. Awesome, buddy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Have you recovered from the weekend yet?
I have. I don't believe you have yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So today we're going to talk about our experiences at the Michigan GT, specifically the Age of Sigmar Doubles event. And obviously this is a follow-up to our last episode, Max Points. If you haven't listened to episode 26, Max Points, pause this episode, go back and listen to that, and then come back. We'll wait. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Now we're going to also have a few final thoughts with Anthony and Justin, and I will talk about why they are final thoughts a little bit later. We do have a Facebook community that has a really awesome discussion group. We have a huge percentage of our listeners on that page, and so if you like seeing great content and positive discussions, go check it out there. But first, let's talk about what's on the table. This is where we cover what's on the gaming table, on the hobby table, and all that kind of stuff since our last episode. And since our last episode wasn't very long ago, and we were pretty laser focused, this section might be kind of short. But anyway, the game system doesn't matter. But we were, as I say, we were pretty AOS focused. Joel, what are you drinking?
I have an orange vanilla Coke Zero on the table today.
That's what you have on the table. Yeah, Coke Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Diet Coke?
Yes, by a million times.
By a million times. So obviously you've tried it. It's an interesting ad campaign they have for that. Is it better?
Yeah,
No.
the
Yes,
best
no.
fl-
Yes,
yes,
no.
the
You
best
got to
flavor.
try it. Yeah, anyway. What else is on the table?
Well, I can see my trophy from my family room.
Yes, your trophy's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Then-
You've been working on anything else since
Yeah.
the event?
So since our conversation, not from this event, no. I have not been up in my hobby room except for the drop stuff off. But since the last time we spoke, we I finished an entire table of terrain, which we brought to the event.
We brought the event. It was very well received.
Got all of my basing done and got put a little pond on our display board.
Yes, the water effect was very nice.
That was after,
upgrade.
that was after we had talked. I decided Monday morning of that week, I was like, you know what this needs? A water feature.
Yes.
So thankfully, it was semi-dried by the time we were transporting it.
So you're like your average upscale suburban homeowner. You know what this place needs? A water feature.
with lily pads and cattails and all.
Yeah, exactly. It actually looked great. So what else? Anything else? That's a lot since the last time we talked. Considering that we had the event coming.
Yeah, I mean, besides and then all of our sportsman award stuff. I got that all boxed up, taped up, printed out our temp tattoo for myself.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, it was a ton of checklist stuff. I had like 12 different things I had to checklist off before I left.
Project manager's dream.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what I have on the table today is coffee, Pete's Coffee. And I'm drinking coffee today because I have to drive through Southern California traffic to pick up my wife from work. I had to take her car home from the airport. She works at the airport, and I had to take her car home today. Well, I'll talk about later why I had to do that, which means I have to go back at 11 p.m. and pick her up. So no drinking until I get her back home. My trophy is also on the table. My trophy was on many tables between the time we finished the event and now. And I'll talk about that in a little while. But, man, I'm geeked about this. I just can't stop smiling. It's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, but this is what we're going to be talking about all this later. But it's pretty dang cool. Yes, I also, since the last episode, did some check-off list stuff for the event. And I don't believe I had any other peripheral hobby stuff that I did in between. Although I did do something that's kind of meta hobby. Again, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I did do some meta hobby stuff that wasn't on a table, but it's still awesome.
Oh, I know what I did.
What did you do?
I was silly. That silly purchase I made at the event of buying a dead game.
Oh, yes. You bought Dead Zone.
Me and my son were playing with the terrain. We clipped it all out and we're like playing with like Legos on.
It's actually decent terrain.
Yeah.
It's Mantic Games, right?
Yeah, it says this really cool like push links between the terrain pieces.
Yeah.
It has no instructions at all in that box.
The mechanisms for that game are actually decent. I'm not so big on the aesthetics on some of the factions, but the game mechanics are pretty decent. That box set is a good value. The terrain is pretty cool. It's kind of a dead game. But if you have a 2-player starter box and you got people just playing like a simple one-off kitchen table game, it's awesome.
They also look like human Tau and squats, so
right.
You could put them on GW bases and be fine.
Maybe, yeah. The other thing I had on the table is my parents drove down for the weekend, and we were hanging out prior to dinner, and I pulled out Get Bit, a simple little card-driven game where you have little like Lego minifig swimmers chased by a Lego minifig shark, and you play cards and you try not to get bit by the shark. And I made I didn't try to. It's a very random game. It's fun, but there's a little bit of strategy. You have to kind of like psych people out because it's a kind of a bidding game. But there's a lot of randomness involved. And unfortunately, the guy teaching the game won the game. You never like that to happen. But, of course, my dad immediately accused me of cheating.
Or not explaining all the rules totally.
Yeah. But we did. Well, the rules are pretty dang easy. Whoever has the lowest number card goes to the front of the line. And if you tie, you don't move. And whoever's at the back gets bit. Pretty easy. And then if you get bit, you automatically jump to the front of the line for the next round. So anyway, that's all the rules. So,
how many times you can get bit before you die?
1, 2, 3, 4 times. Because he bites off your limbs, and if you're playing with people who just decide they want to kill time, then maybe you can use like half the leg and half the arm, so you can make it 8 times. But that makes that game really long. The game's about the right length, but you can play it with 6, 7 people, 8 people. It's it's a fun little quick party game. Anyway, Get Bit. I recommend that game for people who do not really like big, complicated board games. My dad is not a board game player. His idea of a complicated enough game is Yahtzee. So I tried to get him to play King of Tokyo because that's a Yahtzee mechanic. But yeah, no, custom dice. He's like, no, I'm out.
Have you tried Farkle with him?
I have not tried Farkle with him, mainly because I don't like it that much. If I'm gonna play a game like that, I'll just play Yahtzee. I actually like Yahtzee.
It's a different style of Yahtzee, but yeah, with the whole betting to go higher in your points.
Right. It's kind of like it's kind of a combo between Yahtzee and Liar's Dice, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so, because it's matches like in Yahtzee, and the matches have different point values, and then you're trying to keep getting higher and higher, but you're getting less.
It's a push your luck game.
Yep, it's a push your luck.
Yeah, it's a push your luck game. Yeah. So that's what I've got on the table. When we come back, we're going to talk about our pre-event points and journey to the Age of Sigmar Doubles event. We're back, and we're talking about the Age of Sigmar Doubles event and the pre-event journey. We'll talk about the rounds in the section after this. So if you listen to Max Points, and I know you did because we paused at the beginning so you could go do that, you heard about what all the categories were and how we plan to get them all. So the event itself, I fly what we call non-revenue, which is employee standby on Southwest Airlines. And so I flew standby from the LA area to Denver, and then from Denver to Grand Rapids. And then, Joel, you were awesome. Picked me up at Grand Rapids, and we went to Lansing. Now, there was a little bit of a hiccup in that my first flight, which was supposed to go through Chicago, was full. So I had to bump over to the Denver flight. And that was kind of a premonition of things to come. But that's the life of non-revving, so it was cool. I've had to do it a lot. But you were awesome. You waited an extra hour for me. And then what was the name of the barbecue place we went to?
It's called Pit Stop.
Pit Stop. So this place is only open 2 days a week. It's right next to Games Workshop store there in Grand Rapids. How awesome is that? Yeah,
and because your flight got kicked back, we were there when it was open.
Yeah. So thank you, Southwest, I think. We got to go to Pit Stop and have some cool barbecue. So then we drove out to Lansing, checked into the Courtyard by Marriott with the smallest Courtyard by Marriott sign for a hotel I've seen in all my states of travel. I've traveled to a lot of states from business travel and things. It was
like a 12-foot sign.
It was like a stealth courtyard. But the staff was very nice. Cool little place that is it's in a little like shop complex with the big Myers shop there on the corner. And it was really nice because like the prior tenants like left us a pair of underwear and a hat. So that was very nice of them.
Nice Adidas hat.
Like, wait a minute, are those your underwear? No, I don't think those would fit either one of us. Anyway, yeah, that was a little unusual. So then the next morning, this is now, we're talking Friday morning, we went over to the Lansing Center and we helped set up a bunch of tables. Now, when we got there, all of the physical tables themselves were set up. I think they were set up by the event because I think they had to like give them a table plan. Yeah. And the Lansing Center staff actually set up the tables. But how many table war mats do you think we ended up taking out there?
Oh man, of the table.
Did you say it was like close to 100?
I was rolling carts with 50 to 100 on them.
I mean, yeah, we put out. I think it was over 100 mats. There was a lot of mats.
Yeah. And
because the Age of Sigmar event the championship event had, I think 84 participants.
So you had 40 mats there.
And then
you had more than 40 in that area.
More than 40. And then the 40K championships, I think he said it was 120. They had a lot of people playing 40K.
Yeah. I think there was just shy of 300 players.
Yeah. And then they also had mats for Ninth Age, for Kings of War, for War Machine and Hordes,
Conquest.
for
A few
Conquest,
for Conquest.
for X-Wing. They had X-Wing
Legion,
boards. They
Armada.
had Armada, Legion, yeah. So I was really impressed with the number. They even had a Free Blades tournament going on.
Yeah.
Free Blades is kind of a slow burn. It's been a slow burn over the years of it kind of picking up a little bit of steam. It's a skirmish fantasy game done by
Marvel
DGS
Crisis
Games.
Protocol was there.
Yes, Marvel Crisis Protocol.
War Machine and Hordes was there as well.
Yeah. Talked about that. And Malifaux was there.
Oh yeah, yep.
It wasn't a large
row.
Malifaux crowd, but they were dedicated.
It was like six tables.
Yeah. I think it was 6 people.
I'm not 6 people. I mean 6 mats. I think I counted 6 mats because my friend was playing.
It looked like it wasn't any more than maybe 8 people. I think it was 6.
All right.
But they were dedicated. At least their stuff was painted. The Privateer Press people's stuff was not. So we did all that stuff. We get all kind of hot and sweaty, moving mats around. Our event didn't start until noon, so we figured, we help out in the morning, go back to the hotel. We walk outside the Lansing Center to go, I think it's 2 blocks to the courtyard, and what happened?
Well, it was just sprinkling until we walked about 15 feet out of the garage, and then it poured.
It was
and
Michigan
it did not stop
rain.
Pouring.
It was, holy cow. I mean, we were drenched by the time we got back to our hotel room. And I was, worried about it. And so I brought a coat that only came down to mid-thigh. So my torso and head were dry, but from the mid-thigh down, I was completely soaked. And Joel, poor guy, you didn't even have a jacket.
No, it's Michigan October. You don't need one. I'm a Michigander.
You were wearing shorts.
I was wearing shorts
and a short sleeve T-shirt. Wow.
I got my shower. I didn't need the shower. I got my shower on my walk home.
And then that hack you came up with for us to be comfortable for the rest of the day was inspired. So what did you do to help keep us comfortable?
I took a hairdryer.
Yes.
And partially stuck it into our shoes.
Yes.
To dry our shoes off.
We dried our shoes out. And that's the nice thing about wearing running shoes, right? I mean, they dried out quick. If I had been wearing like heavy duty Doc Martens.
Oh, no, that wouldn't have taken.
I would have been squishing in puddles for the rest of the day. Yeah. So we get back over, and then it stopped raining for us to walk back over there. That was very nice of Mother Nature. Thank you very much. Mother Nature was messing with my head the whole weekend, which we'll talk about later. But yes, we get over there noontime, and we have to get all the pregame stuff done. So you had your temporary tattoo of a Knight Azeros that matches the one I have on my left arm, and we got that applied in the hotel room. And we were like, "Ooh, we hope we do this. They hope to do this scoring at the beginning."
Yeah,
because these things are a little volatile.
Well, at the location, because we replicated it right on your same as yours, and it's right there on the elbow. So it flexes and bends.
Yeah. And you've got those massive guns, so it was flexing a lot. So we had our list in on time. We were wearing our matching T-shirts. I went to the barber and got my haircut to match yours. So we already had the matching facial hair, the goatees. You brought was it a Bionicle? No, it was a Technics.
Technics.
Yeah, Technics Lego. They don't even make Bionicles anymore, do they?
No,
that's
I think
a shame.
They dropped those a while ago.
Yeah, my son has all of them. Those were awesome. Anyway, you brought the tables worth of terrain. We had no monsters.
Nope.
They accepted our tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like 80 points.
Everything but 5. We were short 5 points for total max.
Right.
That.
So we did awesome on that. So we got to see. I mean, you could tell from some of the other lists there that some people did not give a two hoots about the sportsmanship style theme for this event. We saw a list that had 2 Gargants and Gotrix and what was the other thing in that list?
Sentinels. The
the Realm Lord Sentinels. That list was evil. And then another list that had like 3 small Gargants and 2 big Gargants or something. I mean,
or 4 zombie dragons.
Yeah, I mean there were some evil lists, and people were not. There was lots of teams that did not have matching shirts. They didn't have. I mean, there was one pair that had matching mohawks.
And we had pirates.
We had pirates. Yeah, one of the guys had like the inflatable pirate suit,
and the other guy was in a pirate suit.
And their army was themed as pirates.
Oh yeah, it was amazing theme.
It was a really cool army. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the rounds that we played and kind of some of the in-game sportsmanship stuff and how that played out. And we're back to talk about the rounds that we played in the Age of Sigmar Doubles event at the Michigan GT. Jeff Campbell Crowley, what a great dude. We checked in with him when we were helping to set up the tables, and he thought that our little items that we brought were pretty funny. They had an interesting thing with the command points that I don't think I was ever like 100% clear on.
Yeah.
So what it was is that at the beginning of every battle round, no, I'm sorry, let me change that. At the beginning of every turn within the battle round, everybody got a point. And then you had one warlord that was selected from both armies. There was one single warlord, and he functioned as the quote unquote general for all of the rules related to generals and command points. So you got a point for that model, and then that model. Well, any of your heroes really could generate additional command points with the heroic things, but only one per side. Each army couldn't do the heroic thing for a command point. So yeah, and then it was confusing at the beginning, and I'm not sure that people really completely understood it, but it worked out. I mean, it was only in the second round where we were short on command points, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So first round, we played 2 really cool guys, and I didn't write down their names. I wish I had, but they had this really cool themed army called Fire and Ice. And it was completely printed, 3D printed in clear resin. One side was an Ice Phoenix and a bunch of Phoenix Guard printed out in clear resin, kind of a light, like almost like a clear blue resin.
Oh,
like a smoke.
I did talk to him about that. Yeah. His resin was smoke, so it actually had no color in it. He actually was adding the color.
Oh, he did add the color. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other side was a Fire Dragon, or Fire Phoenix, rather. Fire Phoenix. And Phoenix Guard that he did some red on them. So it's this really cool kind of blue, super ice blue and red, orangey red theme. And because of the way the points worked out, they were like 55 points short, and they didn't care. These guys were totally there for the fun, just to have a really creative army. But as it turned out, it's a really tough army, right? 4-up save, 4+ ward. And they used the endless spell that can heal stuff. And so, that was...
Emerald Life Swarm.
The Emerald Life Swarm, yes. So that was that army was interesting for us, because we really couldn't deal with the ward saves. Yeah, that ended up being a problem for us. And so we present them with a little box. Each opponent gets this little box. It had the Lords and Heroes logo on the front, and inside was 2 custom dice that we talked about last time. They got their 2 custom dice. They got their they got a handkerchief with the Lords and Hero logo, with a Survivors of the Underworld logo on it. And then they got a couple brownies apiece, because Adan is dumb, and didn't realize I only had to put 1 brownie per box, and so I brought enough for 2 brownies per box. So each player got 2 brownies instead of 1. But they're good brownies, so it was good.
I still have 4 left.
I know. I just ate one today with my first cup of coffee. One of the things that we're supposed to do to get points was have a coordinated fancy high five handshake thing for important die rolls. But in the first 2 rounds, we miscast 3 times. In the first 2 turns of this first round, we miscast 3 times.
You miscast 3 times.
I miscast twice.
Oh, yeah, no, I did once. Yeah.
Yeah. And I killed off one of my curse breakers, which meant that the curse breakers are no longer a wizard. So I was messing up our quest for prize sorcery grand strategy. Luckily, I didn't totally mess it up. As I'm sitting here talking about this event, now wait a minute. When you miscast, you just can't that model can't cast any more spells that turn, right?
Correct.
But you don't lose the spell.
No.
Okay,
you
good.
don't lose
Okay.
the spell.
Yeah, because the next turn, because it was the curse breakers that miscast twice, 2 turns in a row.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're dumb.
But my double caster miscast 3 times this entire tournament, and it was always the first one.
But we did get a couple of really good rolls, and so we were able to incorporate our Top Gun inspired handshake.
Yeah, my brute saved all of his attacks with a 20 frost guard.
Yes,
flinging against him. He was able to save.
Yes, he was awesome. It was so cool. These guys were really fun. They were just like, oh yeah, roll it. It looks good, and they were not really, they were not at all intense about things.
Very laid back. They were fun.
They were very laid back, very fun. I would say that was our most fun round of the day for sure. For sure. At least for me it was.
I really liked Brian and Jessica, our second round people as well.
Yes.
They were a fun couple.
They were a fun couple, but for me, I didn't have as much fun as I did the first round.
Oh yeah. The first guys were hilarious.
They were hilarious, yeah. In the second round, and then of course we offered to give them hugs and we offered to become Facebook friends. So one of the things, we offered to buy them drinks, which they declined. One of the things that was in there was apologize for your good luck and re-roll all successful hits in an attack roll that consists of at least 10 successful hits. We weren't able to do that all day long.
Nope,
we never got that. We never got that.
The one opportunity I was able to roll on the third game, that was not a good run. It was 1s and 2s.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then only once during the day were we able to do that, change your battle shock to a 6, resulting in 5 or more models leaving.
Yes.
So you were able to do that in the first game, because in the second game, second game? That unit got completely wiped out without battle shock.
Their army didn't put out a lot of damage, too much damage, so I was able to make
that happen.
That run.
Yeah. So we lost that game because we couldn't deal with the ward saves. I think we took a total of 7 models off the board, 8 models, something like that.
Yep, 7
models.
Did
not kill a single unit because they kept bringing stuff back. But we didn't lose by more than 10. It was a minor victory for them because we were pretty good all 3 games of paying attention to our battle tactics and our grand strategy and that kind of stuff. So we were actually paying attention.
I think we got it every turn. I don't think we at once missed our hitting our battle tactic.
You might be right. The second round, we played kind of a mirrored Skaven army. So there was 2 of those catapults and there was 2 of those bells. Both halves of the army had 30 plague monks, a unit of 20 and a unit of 10. Both halves had a little priest guy,
and then a little wizard,
and the little Grayseer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one side had staffs, and one side had knives on their plague monks. You almost never see staffs on plague monks. That was kind of cool. But one of the cool things about this team, I mean, I don't know, cool is the right word, but it was really, I thought it was really cool. The guy who put the kind of the army together, his partner who was supposed to play with him had to back out. And Brian was able to convince his wife, Jessica, to be his partner for the event. And she was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but she didn't really seem like an experienced AOS player.
I would say, I bet that he has her play for practice rounds, and that's where she gets a lot of her experience, or he's just teaching her how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, she had a cheat sheet that she was using very diligently, and she would kind of confirm with him stuff. But she was a trooper. I mean, she jumped in there and did stuff, and as it got towards the end of the game, she actually made a couple of executive decisions without asking him. Yeah, I was super impressed that she jumped in and helped out for the event.
I asked my wife if she would do it, and she said, no.
My wife might have done it if it was local. She would not have done it flying to Grand Rapids. Yeah. So that was a fun game in that we were in that game a lot more competitively because we were actually able to kill stuff off, and we were getting rid of units, and we only got to the end of turn 2 in that game because they were the end of turn 3. I'm sorry, we only got to the end of turn 3 in that game because they were moving a lot of stuff, and there was they had a lot of prayers, and we had a lot of spells, and I think you made a good point, Joel, that we probably could have turned the tables in turns 4 and 5.
Yeah, we got rid of both of their big units, so all they had left was 20 plague monks on each side of the 10 on one side, 10 on the other side.
Right.
His bell on my side of the board had no people around it anymore. He was not going to be able to move that for the rest of the game. Right,
and
we had all of our sorcerers alive, so they could just start throwing D6 damage at everything.
Right, because they were now in closer, and the Farstriders blinked to the opposite side of the board and were starting to target their characters. So, yeah, it could have been a little bit more interesting as we got to the end. We ended up losing by 2 points. But I felt like we really acquitted ourselves well with our weirdly themed army against what was really a decent army that they had. That was not a gimmick army. That was a legit army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We did not get the good luck roll, like I said. We were not able to do the battle shock roll.
No, both of my big units were wiped completely on turn 1.
Right. So that was a problem. We didn't get the points for that, but we got a bunch of the other points. Round 3. So round 3, we played a army that was called the Street Sharks. It was a obscure West Side Story reference. There was a Khorne army and a Stormcast Eternals army, and the way they had their display board set up, they were like faced off like the Jets and the Sharks from West Side Story. And I think that probably 80% of the people there did not even realize that there was a reference in the name Street. Anyway, so that was an interesting matchup as well from the perspective that the one guy, the Khorne guy, just had a bunch of screaming barbarians who were going to come racing across the board. And the Stormcast army had 2 units of Judicators, 2 full-size units of Sequitors, and a Relictor. So the Judicators are pretty powerful in terms of their shooting. It is, you can't sniff at their shooting for sure. The issue with this game, for me, and I'm only speaking for myself, I'm using I terms, for me was that they took forever to decide what they were going to do each round, what battle tactics they were going to use, what kind of strategy they were going to use that round. And then they had units that were relatively large, and so it took them a while to move stuff. And one guy would move something and then change his mind and then move it in a different direction. And then and part of this is our fault, and I'm going to own this. We used a rule that wasn't exactly the way it was written, and the one guy caught it. And then after that, he was double checking the book every time we did some rule. And that super slowed down the game. And for even silly stuff
on his rules, which we later found out he wasn't using properly.
He wasn't doing right, yeah. And what was really annoying is that he was double checking rules in my Stormcast army for units that he had in his army. It's like, why are you double checking my Sequitors rules? You're using Sequitors. So, it was frustrating because we didn't even get to the end of round 2. And then at the end of round 2, we ended up doing something that is one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming. But at that point, I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Which is kind of narrating what's going to happen through the end of the turn. Well, these guys would move here, and these guys would move there, and they would attack here, and they would do this, and let's not even worry about moving that. But this is like, just roll some dice, and we see what that combat would be. And, okay, so you guys win by 2 points. I hate that. I hate it with a passion. But I felt super bad that they weren't going to get the bottom of turn 2 done.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I don't feel like we had a lot of responsibility for the fact that we only got halfway through turn 2. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I think our side, if it had a chess clock, we would have been a quarter of the time they had, because
yes,
we knew our units. We always were pre-planning our next battle tactic during the turn that was happening. We were already going, okay, my guys are ready to do this. Your guys are ready to do that. Which one do we want to choose?
Right. So at the beginning of our turn, bang, we had our battle tactic ready to go. We had them written on cards. Yeah. So, I mean, they were decent enough guys. The corn guy he was super happy-go-lucky. He was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'm just gonna go run after these guys." And his partner go like, "Wait, no. We have to hold that objective." He goes like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm just charging." So he was in the spirit of true corn. So that was great. But yeah, so it was a little grindy that third turn. I thought it was a little grindy, and we ended up losing that game by 2 points, which we should not have, but we did. But we did all the other in-game sportsmanship stuff. And yeah, I mean, beyond that, I think that part of it went pretty well. So we were 0-3 on the day, which we kind of thought we were going to be.
We had 9 Underworld warbands. So.
Yeah, but the last 2 games were a lot closer than I thought they were. I never thought. I thought we were going to get blown out at least 2 rounds, and we never gave up a major victory.
We got paired with good armies for our army.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
I'm not sure if we had gone to that Go Trick Gargant list, we would have had a turn 2.
Yeah, maybe not. But the other thing is that it's hard for them to hold objectives. And what we could have done is just swarmed one Gargant and killed it. And
Gargant counts as like 30 people.
Right, but what I'm saying is that because he didn't have a lot of units, we could have swarmed them, I think, and done relatively well. Because Gotrek, he's slow, right? And it's just like, stay away from him. He's a monster killer, and we had no monsters.
Yeah, but he's also a swarm killer. I mean, he can just... I think we would have probably died within turn 2.
Yeah, I don't know. We never were going to end up facing those guys because their first round, I'm sure they got like a major victory, and those guys actually, I don't know if it was them or the other guys with the big nasty monster list, or maybe it was
they had the best win rate.
Right, they had the best win rate, and they were kind of grumbling about the fact that they didn't get best overall, but they didn't have matching stuff. They didn't have hardly any of the sportsmanship. Their army was beautiful. And I'm sure they did really well in appearance, but they didn't have any of the other sportsmanship stuff. And it was pretty clear up front that this was going to be the focus of this thing. Okay, appearance. We did pretty well.
Yeah.
We got the organizer kind of liquored up after the event, and he actually gave up the fact that we were in the top 5. And I don't know. I think that if we hadn't won best sports, maybe we would have got best appearance.
Probably,
I mean, that Gargant army was pretty. With the heavy conversions was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and the next day when we saw the full table of all of his conversions,
right?
That person has a lot of talent on converting.
Yeah, although see he only had half of. He was only one of the partners. The other half of that list wasn't that great.
Zombie dragon.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But when the Gargant guy came the second day, like you're saying, and he had all of his Gargants, what a beautiful display that was.
Yeah.
Wow. It was, I mean, like this one, it was kind of like an undead Gargant that was using this big crypt lid as a shield, and just all kinds of wild stuff. It was really neat.
For me was the Gargant sitting on the throne and kind of like kind of falling back like he was drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was amazing. The guy was super creative. But we did really well in the appearance. I think we got over 100 points on appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So huge shout out to Anthony for painting the Stormcast, and huge shout out to Joel for putting in all the work with the display board and with your units. I think that it was. I mean, the theme was just dripping with theme. I mean, the army was just dripping with theme, and I think it worked out pretty well.
The board turned out very good.
Yeah. So they were announcing the winners at the end. I was sweating.
I was getting that feeling in your gut. You're like, oh, this isn't good.
Because the pirate guys, I don't know all the details of what they had, but they looked pretty themey.
Oh no, they were very themey.
Yeah.
And heavily converted.
And the armies were themey, but I don't know how much of the other like small little things they were doing. Like they didn't have a display
board at all. They were just sitting on the table.
Right.
They chose the best table to do, which was the water table.
Right. They had the ship on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of the other small things. Like I don't think they did custom dice and stuff like that. Did anybody else do custom dice?
No one did. Just us.
Yeah. So then they announced that we won best sports. And I squealed like a stepped on kitten. It was awesome. I loved it.
The relief washed over me.
Yeah, super happy. I mean, we put a lot of work into it. It was something we were really shooting for. It's just fun to be able to put your eye on something and say we really want to get this, and we did. We got it, and it was so awesome. And so, that night in the room, I had it up next to the bed, sitting there, and then at the airport while I was waiting for my flight, I had it out sitting next to me in the waiting room, and then so
you had said you were going to sleep with it when you were in the bar, so you didn't do that.
Well, I mean, it was next to me on the bed. I didn't actually have it in the bed because I didn't want to break it.
Oh, that's true. It is 3D printed.
Yeah,
I don't know how tough it is.
I don't want to break. It's printed in 3 pieces and glued together, so I didn't want to break it. Cool little trophy though. Let's talk about the final phase, which is the trip home.
Mine was not uneventful. I don't know.
Yes. So Saturday my flight was at 5 p.m. I was flying back into Denver to fly back to Southern California. And so we hung out at the Lansing Center for a little while, and we looked at a bunch of the 40K armies. And
we had an excellent breakfast, too.
Yes. The Soup Spoon
Cafe.
Soup Spoon Cafe. That was really good. It was less than a mile from the hotel.
Yeah, I told my wife, I said, if I go back to the October GT and she comes with me, I'll take her there for breakfast.
Yeah, it was really good. So we went back to the Lansing Center. We watched some of the events going on, looked at all the different, like the 17 Custodes armies and the 30 Grey Knight armies. And I mean, I'm exaggerating, but there was a lot of repetition on the 40K side in terms of armies.
Admech.
There was actually a lot of Tyranids, which I was surprised to see.
When you get close to 300 players, I think you get your true faithfuls.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and it's funny you should say that about true faithfuls. You could tell by looking at the armies, both on the AOS side and the 40K side, who is dedicated to that army and has been for a while. That's like their legacy army, and who's chasing the meta. And you can tell by the way that the armies are painted, the way that they're presented, the way that they're cared for. You know, you could really tell, I think.
Your labors and passion, and we'll have to talk about the labor of passion that is on AOS side that we found.
Yeah, the AOS side was way better than the 40K side.
Yeah.
Way better. I mean, not everybody. I mean, Tyler Mangle was there. Tyler Mangle has been featured many times on the Warhammer community site, and he posts stuff in the Independent Characters Facebook community. But Tyler was there with an undead army.
Nighthaunt. His Nighthaunt army.
Nighthaunt, yeah, Nighthaunt army that he painted for the event. And, it's not a legacy army for him, but he's one of these guys who can crank out a beautiful army in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super effective, right? But just on the AOS side, the care and detail and the creativity that went into those armies. So the guy who did the Fire and Ice armies, he had a Alice in Wonderland multi-level display board with lighting,
four
tiers that you could spin and look at different sides of it. And it was like the Mad Hatter's tea party, and it was the Grave Lords.
It was the Flesh Eater Courts. So
Flesh Eater Courts. Yeah, I'm sorry. Flesh Eater Courts army. Now the Flesh Eater Courts, their lore is that they think they're Bretonnians. They think that they're living knights. So he did a kind of a turn on that, and his Grave Lords think that they're in Wonderland. They think that they're inhabitants of Wonderland. The creativity and detail in this, I can't even really describe it. I'm just going to tell you to go to the Facebook page and look at the photos of this army. It's in the comments section of the thread I did on the event. Oh my gosh. It was unreal. These little cupcakes with like bunnies sitting on them that had like demon stuff coming out of them, or like one had.
They were converted Flesh Eater Court, the larger mid-size units. Can't think of the name, but they have wings on them.
The Geists, yeah.
Geist, yeah.
Yeah, and one of them had like clockwork stuff coming out of its chest.
Yeah, that whole level was a clockwork level. So everything on that level had clockwork.
Well, actually, it was a clock with 3 arms. I took pictures of the display board without the things on it, and it was so cool. And then the top level was this Terrorgeist or zombie dragon, and the wings were like flocked like trees. He used the GW tree sprues on top of the wings, and it was like the tree over the top of the party. Yeah. And then the rabbit riding this thing, and there was this green flame coming out of the dragon's mouth that looked like a head, like its own dragon head in the green flames coming out. That green flame is magnetized. He pulls that green flame off from underneath one of the levels. He pulls out a base and magnetizes it to the green flame, and that's his burning head endless spell. I mean, who thinks of that?
I don't know. They had the Mad Hatter. He had the Caterpillar.
The Mad Hatter's at a table.
He had Alice up top.
Yep.
She was just this little miniature up top.
Yep.
Vampire.
Little tiny playing cards kind of scattered throughout. It was just amazing. I was talking to him about it because we, obviously we met him and played against him, so he kind of was familiar with us. But he said he's been working on that thing for over 6 years.
Yeah, 6 to 7 years, he said. Yeah.
Yeah. Just incredible. I think it's the most amazing army display I've ever seen.
Yeah, same.
I think it is. It was beautiful to be
Every
able to see
time you
that
looked at it, you'd see something new that had a ton of detail to it.
Yeah. Yes. It was nothing half-assed in this thing. It was all just amazing. So yeah. Yeah, so we end up looking at all that kind of stuff. We drive back to Grand Rapids Airport. I'm looking at my standby list. I'm like, yeah, okay, everything looks good. I say farewell to Joel. He goes driving off home. How far is your house from the airport?
35 minutes.
Yeah. So you were home before I even got on my plane.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. And I get on the plane. I got, I fly standby, so I'm in the C's. But I get on the plane, and the flight attendant's standing there, like watching people come in, and he's like blocking an aisle seat in the exit row. I'm like, is anybody sitting there? He goes, you are. I'm like, heck yeah. So got a C boarding pass and got the aisle in the exit row, which is one of my favorite rows to sit in because of the leg room. So it was like, yes, this is going to be a good trip home. Awesome. While we're on the plane, before we taxi, everybody starts getting notifications on their phones that the flights out of Denver were canceled. And we're flying to Denver. I'm like, oh, crap. And so I'm texting my wife, who worked for Southwest, and I think she was actually at work. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So she says, well, we just got an email saying that, according to the email, the federal ATC shut down all the flights in and out of Central Florida. And so all the Southwest flights that were supposed to leave Florida couldn't leave, and all the flights that were supposed to come into Florida couldn't come in. And so all the airplanes and crews were in the wrong places to do their next runs. That's what the email came out that she saw. And I'm like, well, the flights out of Denver are canceled. And there's probably 5 different airports I can fly into in Southern California, but all of them were full. Well, the ones that weren't canceled were full because everybody's moving around to different flights. And I'm flying non-revenue, which means I'm the last sucker to get on the plane.
You get the empty spot.
And there is no empty spots. Right, exactly. So she goes, okay, let me quick like a bunny get you a hotel room because those are going to fill up in Denver.
Yeah.
And so she gets me an A-Loft hotel. And I don't know if it's kind of it's just a super basic small, there's a bed and a bathroom, and that's it. I mean, it's super small, but they're usually really nice. It's a Marriott product. And I get to Denver, and I'm looking when we land up. Well, actually, in flight, because if you're using the Southwest Wi-Fi, you can actually look at their website and stuff while you're flying. Nothing. Everything. So this is Saturday. Everything on Sunday is full. Full. Crap. There's one flight into Long Beach super early in the morning, and I ended up kind of on that, but I'm still like looking at it sideways going, yeah, someone's going to realize that there's seats there and I'm going to get bumped. So I go out to pick up my shuttle to go to the A-Loft, and I don't know if anybody's ever been to Denver Airport, but the signage is horrible. There's an east side and there's a west side. And there's nothing on any of the pillars or any of the signs or anything that tells you that this is east or that this is west. And when I called about the shuttle to the A-Loft, they said, "Oh yeah, go out to the third island. You'll see the 3. That's where the hotel shuttles are." Okay, great. I missed the word east.
So 3E is what you were looking for.
I was looking for the east side, not the west side. There's 3s on both sides.
Oh, man.
But you don't know if one's east and one's west. So I call and say, hey, I called over half an hour ago about the shuttle. And I've seen like the Marriott shuttle go by 3 times. The Gateway shuttle go by 3 times. I've seen all these other shuttles coming by a lot. What is up with this? She goes, did you go outside door 508 or 505? Because the odd numbers on the east side and the even numbers on the west side. I said, okay, was somebody going to tell me that? Maybe I must have missed a briefing. I think I missed a briefing. I felt like the SWAT guy who went in the wrong door because he was not paying attention in the briefing. So it took me over an hour to get my shuttle to get to the aloft. So I get to the aloft, go to sleep with my trophy next to me at the bed.
This is Saturday. Yeah.
This is Saturday night. Yeah. Sunday morning, I wake up. All the flights are full. All of them. They're all full. Well, the first flight got canceled. A bunch of flights get canceled. A bunch of flights are full. So I'm on Travelocity, Expedia, looking for other companies.
Yeah, and that's
right because I just spent 100.
Sitting at 9 o'clock. I'm like, he didn't send me anything. He's probably at home. He's fine. I'm like in church. I'm like, hey Don, how was your travels? And you immediately came back to me, and I'm like, uh-oh, he's awake.
Yeah. So, so I'm looking at all these different websites now because I spent like $130 or something on my hotel room. So I was like, free travel at this point is not a thing. So I just got to get home. The cheapest flight I could find on another airline was over $600. I'm like, oh, crap. So I thought, you know what? Hell with it. Apple Maps. What is the driving distance between Denver Airport and John Wayne, Orange County Airport? 14 hours. What the hell? Go back to Travelocity, reserve a car from Budget. It's like, screw it, I'm just going to drive. It was half the price. Half the price.
And you would try to get to Vegas, too, because you were
I tried to fly into Vegas. I tried to fly into Phoenix, because I figured, driving from there would be a lot easier. Driving from Vegas is 3.5 hours. Driving from Phoenix is 6. And worst case scenario in Phoenix, I could stay at my in-laws. So I go to the Budget, rent a car, and there's over 50 people in line. The place
they all had the same idea.
Packed. The place is packed. Now, props to Budget. They called in a bunch of people from home to come work. So they had like 6-7 windows open, which, if you ever rented a car at an airport, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Usually it's like one poor sucker, who's on his phone. And I get to the window, and the young lady's there, and I said, hey, so are we having fun yet? She's like, man, I was at Red Rock until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I'm still drunk. They called me in.
Oh, no. And she's about to pick up a car.
No, she was the agent.
Oh, she was the agent. All right.
So she was just a little bit slower than the other agents, but she was nice. We were laughing about it. So, and they're running. They are packed. So she hands me my thing for my car. She goes to the back. They assign her a car. So this is not her fault. I have to make sure it's not her fault. She assigns me the car. I go outside. The car has not been washed, which is my first clue. There's no key in the car. So I gotta go back inside, finally get another car, and I start the drive. Now, we're in Denver. I have a cousin in Denver. I text her and say, hey, what do you happen to be doing on a Sunday morning? And she said, I'm just farting around the house. I'm like, hey, you want to have coffee? She's like, I'm in Denver. I'm like, yeah, so am I. So I met my cousin for coffee. That was good. I mean, that was kind of the high point for me of the trip. That was kind of cool. We had coffee. I had like a double cortado or something like that, so I could get the caffeine on board. And then I just started driving.
Loading it up. I
started driving. You go through this pass as you're leaving Denver. There's snow all over the place. So that was interesting. Took a couple cat naps on the way. Just ate road snacks, pick up a protein bar at the AM PM mini mart or whatever. Drank some really bad cold brew. And I slept for a while in Baker, California. There's a race we used to do every year from Baker to Las Vegas. It was a 120-mile running race, relay race. So I knew about Baker. And there's a hotel there called the Bun Boy Motel. And it's closed. Apparently it's not in business anymore, but the parking lot was still there. So I parked in the parking lot and slept there for a while. Got to John Wayne Airport just as my wife was arriving at work, so I was able to use her car to come back home. That worked out great. But I turned in the car in less than 24 hours, which meant that I only had to pay for 1 day.
Nice.
So the cost of the car and the gas was less than half the price of the flight. So that was pretty cool. Then I came home and crashed.
Yeah.
I hit the bed and I was out.
Can only imagine. Jeez.
Yeah, it was quite the adventure. So, yeah. The life of non-rev. But then I heard another rumor that, Southwest had just announced that because they're a federal contractor, they have to follow the federal guidelines and everybody has to be vaccinated, all of their employees. And I don't know if this is true. The rumor I heard was that on Sunday, a bunch of the first officers called out, quote unquote, sick, saying this was going to be like if you force this vaccination thing, because we're going to go on strike. And so that might have been why a bunch of the flights were canceled. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I read it from somebody who did their own research on Facebook, so it's got to be true, right? It's a good story, but anyway. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the scrying pool.
Adan, let's dive into the scrying pool this week. What catches your eye in the future?
What catches my eye in the future? This is a really loaded question for this episode. So, model-wise, what catches my eye is Harrow Deep, the new Underworlds. We talked a little bit about it last time, but they've been showing more previews of it. It's up for pre-order now. I just threw in a pre-order with Sky.
As did I.
At Herrick Games and Hobbies. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think that the Stormcast warband in this looks really, really cool. It's very, very different.
The new thinner dimensions.
Yeah. So, and they got a little eagle guy with them. They're doing a lot of stuff with different creatures now, which I really like. I really think it's cool. And then today they announced the new Warhammer Day models. Warhammer Day is October 30th. And there's going to be a Primaris Lieutenant because we need another one. I mean, I think it's funny. I think it's a funny running gag that they do. I feel sorry for anybody who doesn't have a Marine army because there's so many Primaris Lieutenants. I think there's like 8 now or something, some crazy number.
They have done a few Necrons lately in this last season.
But the other model that is happening for Warhammer Day is a vampire on foot. He or she,
I'm pretty sure it's just she.
Well, it looks amazing. I'm not really a vampire guy, but that's an awesome model.
She will be a Warcry model for me.
Yes, I will be using that model. Yeah, I might even use her to substitute in for one of my vampires in Underworlds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, she'd be perfect for that, too.
It's such a great model. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking at that.
All available online?
Excuse me?
All of them are going to be available online.
All of them are going to be available online.
No one will miss out.
Correct. And one of them will be available in stores, in the Warhammer stores.
In normal stores, I thought. The Vampire Lady, I think you can order it through any store. They'll be able to go through the web portal.
One of them you can only get through Warhammer.
The Primaris Lieutenant.
And the other one you can get through any retailer, right?
Yeah.
But you have to order it within a certain amount of time.
Yes, you do. It's very similar to, they've done a few of those before in the past.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm primarily kind of looking at. I'm going to let you go next, and then I'm going to circle back around to some stuff.
Sure.
That I'm looking into even further, kind of more meta than just what's coming out.
Well, I too put my pre-order in for Harrow Deep.
Great.
Excited to see the Orc Warband. I haven't gotten, they didn't publish the details yet as to the 3 small guys, if one of those is a Hobgrot or if they're all Grots.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting because this weekend, that was the only Orc family heritage of models I didn't have was a Hobgot in my army.
Right.
If I was to do a full
big
orc
wall army.
family, big wall of family things.
Yeah.
I got the 2 campaign books. I really enjoy having the campaign books in full to run and store. No one really does.
The new 40K ones that were
the 40K ones. So
yeah, because there's a Crusade one too that goes along with that.
So I got the book, which is the rule book, but also the Crusade campaign book, which I really like because it has all the battle plans and Crusade rules in it.
Yeah, I like it too. It's interesting because you either hear people like complaining about having to have this extra book, and you have other people saying this is really awesome. I agree with you. I think that they're awesome. They don't really have a similar thing on the AOS side.
No, and that actually it's one of the things I really would love to see, and I hope it's coming. But GW's got some issues with the pandemic and delays in manufacturing that everyone has in the market right now.
Right.
So I hope we'll see an AOS version. I'm sure we'll see campaign books. We always see campaign books.
Right.
But I'd really like to see the Crusade battle plan booklets that they've been doing for the 40K set on AOS side.
The 40K ones, I think they've been really nicely done.
I like the 3-ring bound so they can lay flat or
the spiral
roll.
bound.
Yeah, spiral bound style.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's a win of a product. The issue is, I think like you were saying, and every week we're seeing more and more news stories about how this is delayed in transit, and that's delayed in transit, and all these other industries, and the gaming industry is no different.
No, I mean the automotive industry is now about a year behind on manufacturing.
Yeah, and it's not going to get much better. A lot of these container yards are just totally full. I mean, I don't know if you've been following the news about truck drivers into and out of England, because a lot of them weren't British, and now because of the Brexit thing, I mean, it's
all over.
There's a whole thing about pig farmers and what they can't export out of England, and they're like euthanizing all these pigs. Basically, just have to destroy them because they can't ship them out. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's happening in beef towns around the U.S. as well, where there's so much cattle at the slaughter yard, but not enough transport to get that meat out of the locations.
Right. Just bottleneck after bottleneck after bottleneck. So it's interesting, and it's affecting, this non-essential hobby that we have.
Yep.
It irritates people, but quite frankly,
you got enough gray on your
food
on your
is way more
shelf.
important than getting people plastic.
Everyone's got enough gray on their shelf. Maybe we can cut into that backlog.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there are some people who, given their last $10, they might buy a model instead of food. There are those people out there.
Probably.
But no, it's kind of hard. The other thing, looking into the future, into the scrying pool, this is going to be our last episode for an extended period of time. Starting later this week, I start working at the Warhammer Store and Cafe in Monrovia, California. I'm working there as a sales associate, and I just got my official GW email address and everything. Woo! But I go on the payroll on Thursday, and obviously they have a very involved social media policy, which means this podcast will not be happening while I'm working for them. I will also be transferring over the moderation of the Lords and Heroes Facebook page. It'll stay open. The Facebook page will stay open. The community page will stay open. The Facebook page itself will stay open but won't be updated. But the community group will still be active. Other people are moderating it. I will not be. Same thing with the independent characters Facebook community page. I've already talked to Adam and Carl. They're going to be picking up the slack for the moderation that I was doing there. So I won't be posting as much content as I have been up to this point, but I will still be lurking. I'll be lurking out there, but we will not be doing any Lords and Heroes episodes. You won't hear me guest. Carl, you've been hearing Carl's voice on other podcasts around the internet. who will have him on as a guest. But I won't be doing that, which is cool. I mean, there's no way that they could monitor every single podcast out there and just say, oh, yeah, well, you can do one, but you can't do one. And we like what you're saying, but we don't like it. No, you just can't do that. It's not cool. It doesn't make sense to do that. You got to have a pretty hard and fast rule, and everybody has to follow it. And it makes sense. I'm totally cool with that. Anybody who's worked in any kind of industry that has IP protection they're looking at, you understand it, right?
Yep.
Even when I worked for the university,
I understand it.
Even when I was working for the university, if you posted stuff on public social media that was critical of the university, you could face consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, it's not exclusive to this company or even this industry. And it totally makes sense. So we're going to be on extended hiatus. The episodes will still be out there. I'm probably going to be trying to transition them to YouTube as opposed to the podcast feeds, only because that way I don't have to pay for Libsyn to support them, because this show doesn't generate any revenue anyway. But if we're not even recording, dumping money into it kind of seems kind of weird, right? Just pouring money down the well.
Yeah.
But I'm super looking forward to this job. I'm
excited for you. I if I was retired, I would think about working for a game store for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I was not looking for a job. I've been totally happy not working for the last 2+ years since I finished my career. But it came up kind of as a side comment during a conversation I was having with the manager. And I'm like, really? One of your part-timers is leaving? And he's like, yeah, I get it. And so it's like, so how do you apply? He kind of looked at me like, what? So that was really cool. It was weird interviewing for a job again. The whole thing has just been an interesting process. They've been super cool. The company's been great. And so I'm really looking forward to that job. It starts later this week. So if you are ever in the Los Angeles area, Southern California, even if you're down in San Diego, make the drive to the Warhammer Store and Cafe in Monrovia. You may recognize someone's voice amongst the staff. It's a nice place. Full espresso bar, pastries, nice play area. They sell Forge World there. It's very much the twin of the Citadel in Texas. It's kind of like a destination store. So super looking forward to that. Kind of bittersweet that this is going to be an extended hiatus. I really enjoy doing the show, obviously.
Well, I will say for the listeners out there that we appreciated the effort that went into this show, and I will also say that we for sure understand why GW wants you to be on their team, because you are one of the top what do we say, top
rah guys,
ambassadors for the product line.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's you're going to pay me to actually talk up the game to people? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate. I mean, you are a listener. You're a listener of Independent Characters, listener of the Lords and Heroes, and you've kind of we've been able to kind of fold you in to kind of help us with doing the show, and it's been great to have someone from the listening community come in to help produce the show. You get to see all the gribbly behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, it's been fun.
But I really appreciate you helping out with it, and we had a blast, man, this weekend.
Yeah, no, I did. I had a blast.
We had a great time.
Hopefully we'll see you at certain events sometime in the future.
Yeah.
If you can get away from your store.
Yeah, I have tickets for LVO, but, I'm low man on the totem pole seniority-wise. Who knows if I'm working that weekend or not.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, I hope you don't have plans during December, because after Black Friday, we're going to be slammed. I'm like, yeah.
I hear Warhammer Day is going to be pretty busy too, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for it. Let's do it. So come on down to the Warhammer Store and Cafe and let us sell you some stuff. The other day I was there. I think I told this story, but I'm going to tell it again. The other day I was there, and there was some customers who were talking to one of the employees there about Warcry and Underworlds. And the employee and I had been talking about the fact that, he doesn't play those games very often, so he didn't know a whole lot about it. But he saw me, he goes, "Hey, Adan, you play these games a lot. You know a lot about this stuff. Would you mind talking to them a little bit about Underworlds and Warcry?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can help." And I just kind of launch into it, right? And he kind of steps back and he's like smiling at me. And, I wasn't working for them.
Yeah.
But I was working for them, right? It was working for them. I look over and the manager's kind of raising his eyebrow, like, nodding his head. It's like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I do a very similar thing at my local gaming store.
Yeah.
I do all the demos for them and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
if you talk to hobby store owners, the ones who are active and successful, they will tell you that one of the key things you need to do is cultivate hobby champions.
Mm-hmm.
You need to cultivate hobby champions, whether it's D&D, whether it's Magic, whether it's miniatures gaming. If you can get a hobby champion for bolt action in your store, guess what? They're going to be playing bolt action in your store.
Yep.
Right? Because there's absolutely no way that, especially if you are a local game store owner where you don't have a single product line, you can't know all the games.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even if I worked in an FLGS and I know a whole lot of games, there's still games I don't know, right?
Yep.
So if, we were interested in carrying Conquest, I'd try to cultivate a Conquest hobby champion.
For sure.
Knowing me, after watching a couple of the events, I'd probably buy into it. But, but you got to do that. You got to have your hobby champions. And, you've done it. I've done it. Even when I was at Warhammer Chandler, as a customer, I ran their Underworlds events at the Warhammer store. You got to do it. And if you have a chance out there, dear listeners, where you can become a hobby champion and help other people get into this amazing hobby, do it. It's fun. You love it. Help other people love it, because that's somebody who could be a future opponent.
Yep.
So you have somebody to play a game with on a weekend. So that's why we're going to be going from here to some interviews with Anthony, and I'm going to finish up with Justin, the Keeper of Secrets himself. And if I get a chance, I've got a call out to Rob and Alex, because they helped me a lot in the last 2 years on the show as well. Try and get them in here. But we're going to be going on extended hiatus, and we really, really, really appreciate all the support people have given us and all the positive feedback, and even the constructive feedback. That's actually been very helpful for being able to do alterations. Joel, man, super awesome. Thank you so much, man.
No, thank you. And we are the champions.
We are the champions.
Let's demonetize you right now.
Yeah, we are the champions. You don't want to hear us sing. Somebody told me if you do less than 7 seconds, you can.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go find 7 seconds of "We Are the Champions."
There you go.
We did it, buddy.
We did it.
All right. Take care.
So for the final time on Lords and Heroes, Anthony.
Oh no.
Here we are.
I know.
Here we are.
Uh-oh.
So everything's coming to a crashing close.
Uh-huh.
But on a good note, right? I think it's a good note.
Crashing seems extreme.
Yeah, it does. Well, I like alliteration.
Sure.
So that's the first thing that came to mind. It's not like I don't have a script this time.
Right.
This is what happens with me with no show notes. So, normally you and I usually are talking something having to do with Underworlds.
Uh-huh.
And we aren't going to do a Hero deep dive. A deep
right.
dive into Hero Deep.
Wow.
Deep into the
That's
deep.
horrible. I'm glad you said that.
So, what are your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
What I've seen so far? I'm intrigued. I like the Rivals format. I think that's good. That'll be where you just use either the faction-specific cards or one of the... It looks like they're going to start making constructed decks for it.
Right.
They already did the Silent Menace one, which I haven't really looked at it that hard, but I wasn't greatly impressed.
It's not very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. You could try and do something interesting with it. I bet if you had the right warband, it would work well, and if you practiced it a few times. But,
yeah.
I don't know. I always have the knee-jerk reaction of trying to make something work that everybody else says is bad. So
right.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I bet you it'll probably be because they're pushing the Grand Alliance thing, which is interesting. I bet they'll release like Grand Alliance faction decks too, as well as just cards. Hopefully that will help some of the older warbands, which would be interesting. It'd be cool to see like a Death faction pre-constructed deck or whatever they're going to call it that works for the Guard, right? The Skeleton Dudes, and maybe even the Briar Queen. It'd be nice.
She's rotated out.
Right. Yeah. It'd be nice to see a couple of Chaos themed ones, which would be interesting.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see if they can do something that'll work for all of the Chaos ones, including the Reavers, because I want to be able to keep playing Reavers.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Garrick's Reavers are a great warband.
Right. Not that any of this means that I won't be able to continue playing any of my stuff, because championship format's not going to go away. That's where most of that stuff's going to be. And also, quite frankly, I mostly play casual and multiplayer anyway. So when I was playing,
So because we're not doing any events or anything right now. So
those would be interesting. I like the Gloom feature. That sounds pretty cool. Be cool to have some cover in there.
They had that feature before where you could flip objectives and make them lethal.
Right. Yeah. So I think this is the difference between the Beastgrave and Harrow Deep. Right. The settings, lore-wise. Right. So the other one had more lethal tokens. This will have more gloomy tokens, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing, the idea of it affecting how you move and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I think they're keywording up a lot of things that are going to take a bunch of stuff off of the cards.
Right.
And some of the icons that they were showing were interesting, where all the beasts will have an icon on them, like the bird or the dogs or whatever.
Right.
And that will be in place of, 500 pages of text in two-point type.
Exactly.
Letting you know that it can't take certain cards and things.
It's interesting. I actually like the trend of seeing the little beasties, right?
Yeah.
The crab and the eagle and the dogs. Right. I mean, we saw it. What was the first one we saw? Was
Magor's Fiends, kind
of.
But Riptooth was really he's a fighter in his own right. I think it was Godsworn had the first one.
Godsworn Hunt.
Yeah, and it's cool to see more of those just weird little skirmishers, for lack of a better term.
Was Mollog before Godsworn?
No.
Because Mollog had a bunch of little beastie things that didn't do anything.
Yeah, I wonder if they released. I don't remember. That was, in the before times.
In the before. So when this comes out, that means that Beastgrave rotates out. So we
in certain formats, right?
In
champion
format.
So
we just have Dire Chasm and Harrow Deep.
Correct. As far as universal cards go.
But all of the warbands will still be usable.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, that's kind of an interesting twist on this versus Magic, for example. Where in Magic, you have your blocks, and then that's all that's available.
Right.
But with this, that's all that's available card-wise. But you still have all these other models you can use.
Yeah.
And so being able to use, like, just to throw a name out there, Steelheart's Champions, one of the very first ones. Sure, the abilities on their cards may not interact that great on some of the newer
or they don't have as many abilities.
Cards, right? Or they don't have as many abilities. But you could still technically use them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I don't think there's an equivalent of the actual fighters in Magic.
Yeah.
Right? So
I don't know.
It'd be like
Planeswalkers, maybe?
Yeah, but Planeswalkers are usually themed to the block as well. There aren't any generic ones. I don't know. It's been forever. I haven't really ever played that much Planeswalker Magic either. But
I just think it's a really cool little feature of the game.
I agree, and I think they're streamlining it again. I was reading a blog post by somebody who was all like, everybody's complaining that they're adding too many new rules, but you know what? It's less rules than they added with Beastgrave. And I was like, oh, good point. And who's to say that Hunter and Quarry are going to be as important in this next one?
It probably won't be.
Right. And
I mean, how much Hunter and Quarry was there in Dire Chasm?
There was a significant amount. Yeah. But that fits in the lore theme or in the block, right, as well. Right. It'd be interesting to see, especially since the main question I have, which could feed into several other thoughts, is why are the card backs different now?
They're not. Only some of them.
We don't know that yet.
Well, then why are you speculating about? We call this hypothetical bitching.
Right. No, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just I think they haven't addressed it, and I'd like to know why they haven't addressed it. That's one of the first things I'd mention. I bet everybody at Wizards of the Coast wish they could change the back of the Magic card because it's from the 90s.
Right.
Right? And it's ugly art, quite frankly, right? And they've changed everything else they can, but they can't change that, right? So what... okay, so maybe they're introducing a new form of card that's going to be a separate deck or something like that, but that's adding so much to the game that it doesn't make sense. So my speculation is that they are changing the back of the cards for some reason. I don't really think it affects anything because everybody either is or should be playing with sleeves at a competition level anyways.
Right. I know somebody. I was reading something. Oh, but I always use transparent sleeves.
Whatever.
Yeah,
so do I.
Spend
but
$3.
Yeah, exactly.
And buy a new thing.
Exactly. Or if they do the thing that they used to do, and they actually release a generic sleeve pack as opposed to one for each warband.
Right.
I think that would be great. I'd buy 2 or 3 of those, and it'd be fun.
That's what I did before.
Right.
I bought the generic sleeve packs.
Right.
And just sleeve my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, but if it feeds into that, where was I going with that? Were the cards
changing the backs of the cards?
Changing the backs. There was another point to that, and I've lost it now because I haven't finished my coffee yet.
Right.
Yeah, Dead Space. That's good radio. Anyways, go ahead. I've lost it.
No, I mean, I think I'm interested to see what comes up with it. I didn't get to play much Dire Chasm.
Yeah.
And so I know that there's a pretty significant number of folks in the Underworlds community that were playing online.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I'm not really entirely sure how valid a metrics that is, right?
Yeah, so, I don't know either. I'm just saying of the active Facebook groups, people were talking about, we've been playing online, so it's not that big of a deal. But I haven't been doing that, so I haven't gotten much Dire Chasm in.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that in my new role, I'll be able to play a little bit more of the specialist games.
Yeah.
So...
you know Underworlds, right? So that'd be a good choice.
Underworlds
for you to run
and
Underworlds tournaments there.
Stuff like that, yeah. So it should be fun.
I don't know, those are technically specialist games. I think they fall
under
boxed
they're called box games.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
But I guess that's what Necromunda falls under now too, right?
The box games.
Yeah. Weird.
So, it's interesting stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. So, anyway, I really have appreciated your help over this 3-year span that I've been running this show. You and I had this idea to do kind of a deep dive into Warhammer Underworlds when before the first rotation even.
Right.
And we kind of went through just kind
Nightfall,
of like the actual details of the rules. How do you play the game? What do the rules mean? How does it work? And it has been one of our most popular episodes, which is kind of cool. And then when we did the next one, that one kind of jumped up there too. So obviously there's interest in these games, other than just the kind of the parent Age of Sigmar. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I think it fills a niche that nothing else does, right? It's a good let's sit down for 30 minutes if you know what you're doing, right? And just play a quick game.
Well, and also with the multi-billion-dollar industry that board games have become,
right?
It's such a great way to kind of usher people in.
Yeah, which I think the Rivals format thing is only gonna
it's only gonna make that better.
Yeah, because I've run tournaments before when I was running them at Game Castle Fremont of faction only cards technically.
Oh yeah,
even before that was a thing.
Yeah,
and it was you could add
at Black
anything.
Diamond.
Yeah, right. That's right.
We did that.
We
call it the basics format.
Right, exactly. Or cards that are in the starter, right?
Right.
And I think it's a great entry point.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that one of the things I was thinking is with this new format, are we going to see them release the starter box at Barnes and Noble and Walmart and places like that? Because
the core, the
theme,
set, the block starter,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why they've got the basic starter.
That's what I'm saying. The basic starter.
Oh, okay.
The basic starter, the one with the castigators,
right? Yeah, and the horsey ghost dudes. Yeah,
the horsey ghost dudes.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called.
Chain Wrath? No. They're not chain wraps.
The horsey goat.
The horsey
ghost dudes.
Yeah, those guys. But I could definitely see them releasing that box set in big box stores.
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't see it. I haven't seen it at Target yet because that would be another good place for it.
I think COVID kind of screwed that up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they've had some false starts with this before. I don't know if we remember with Warhammer 40,000, they had a set of starters. I'm trying to remember the name of what they called it. And when you saw it in your game store, it was in this standalone cardboard stand-up thing, and it had these boxes. It was called like First Strike or something like that.
Right.
And they had these different starters for 40K. And the story behind that was that was supposed to be like a Target / Walmart release that people could buy the stuff there. Yeah. And it fell through at the last minute.
Right.
And so they sent it off to the retailers, and they were like, "What's this?" And as it turns out, I mean, they were really cool starters actually, and that they had the magazine with the model on it and stuff like that. It was a really cool idea, and maybe it was just a little bit ahead of its time. And so since that time, we've seen Dreadfane and Blitzbowl and Space Marine Adventures
and Kill Team Light,
Fire Team, yep.
Right.
And so
there's a Warcry one coming out too.
Yeah, they seem to be really, really popular and doing really well. And actually, they're good games.
Yeah.
I mean, Dreadfane's a great way to play Underworlds.
Yeah,
so I think
Dreadfane is a good jumping point. I liked. Supposedly it was being discounted or something at Barnes and Nobles, and I kept trying to keep my eye out for it just to get another set of the hazard cards.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great format, and those are really cool. I kind of was sorry not to see something like that in the main game.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're introducing it through the Arena Mortis and stuff like that.
Right.
But that one, from what I could tell, the cards that were previewed was very Arena Mortis specific.
Right.
I'd really hope, especially with the Grand Alliance things they're adding, that they do a little more multiplayer.
Yeah.
I would like to see more standard multiplayer, like team multiplayer, where two teams from the same alliance against two teams, which we've done before. And it works great. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's really good things in the future. I mean, there's a lot of play space. For them with that game to do different things. So anyway,
it's also fun. We're kind of also in that period where everybody's wildly speculating what warbands are going to come out, right?
Oh, right. And trying to decide. They're like looking at the cards. The cards that get released, and looking at the, what warband is that?
Well, this specific one that only I want. This, or whatever kind of thing is always funny.
Yeah. I mean, has every faction had one now?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they come out with.
Yeah, it would be.
I mean, I need at least 2 or 3 more Stormcast ones.
Right, at least. Yeah. Well, and I like that they finally. This is like the first Stormcast one that isn't just dudes in a unit too, right? It's an adventuring party, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be pretty cool. I'm already planning the head swaps for those.
Gotten some good comments on some of the head swaps and things the ones you've done.
It's so easy.
I posted those in a couple different groups.
It's such an easy thing to do that just changes it.
And I'm talking about the army that you painted for me for the Michigan GT.
Yeah.
And that's this week.
I know. You excited?
Yeah, Joel and I will be talking a lot about it after it happens. We'll do a little recording on that probably on Saturday before I go back to the airport. I'm also thinking about maybe carrying around my recording stuff and just doing like man on the street interviews kind of thing and see what we can come up with.
Right. No, totally generate some followers right before you shut down the podcast. That's a good idea.
It's about getting people excited about the hobby. That's the whole point.
No, he's drank the Kool-Aid already.
That's been the point of the show from the beginning. That was the point of the independent characters where we came from, is having people excited about the hobby. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Well, that's what's going to be missed, right? As everywhere, I don't know what it is right now. It's in that cycle again where it just seems like everybody's kind of dumping on them again. And it's like, no, come on. This is...
I don't know why. I mean,
I don't understand
Warhammer
why.
Plus is awesome.
Yeah.
The video stuff, the animations and stuff. And did you see the sketches of Knave Blackthorn?
Yeah. Right.
That's going to be cool.
Be awesome. Right. And we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm enjoying the Citadel Masterclass. I think Luis totally butchered her name there. I think she's doing a great job with all those classes. I've used something from pretty much every one so far.
The gem one looks like it's going to be
like I was telling Adan, I was holding off on finishing my Lumineth so I could watch her gem tutorial before I do all the gems on them. So
right, and then the more hammer they add to Hammer and Bolter,
right? Yeah, that show's been great.
We'll all be. I think that they're doing some really cool stuff, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that.
Even the one I've enjoyed the least has still been really good, which is the Angels of the Death one. It's kind of clunky and stilted, but it's still kind of fun.
It's funny because people love that one.
Yeah. I like the Tyranid High Fleet battle.
Yeah,
the episode 5. That was pretty.
That
insane.
was pretty
That
cool.
Was cool.
Yeah. Now, see, I liked the one they did of the Zinchian guys taking over the church. The video that I thought that video, I liked the animation style of that one better than the Blood Angels one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the future's so bright. I gotta wear shades.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's almost too much.
What you need to do one of these days is
homework.
Take a trip down to Southern California.
Oh yeah, totally.
And visit the Warhammer store and cafe in Monrovia, California.
Already talking about that. We go
just off the 210.
Right. My wife's parents are down in that neck of the woods ish.
There you go.
We'll be down for Christmas.
Awesome.
I think. So I was thinking of grabbing Des and one of his cousins and driving up there while we're down there. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you may or may not recognize somebody at that store.
I know, exactly.
It could be interesting.
If you run a big enough tournament, maybe I'll drive down for that too. So get on to the World's tournament going on there, and I'll drive down or something. So.
Yeah, I mean the interesting thing about the stores. Well, I can't go as much into it, but it's good. I'm super looking forward to it. It's going to be really, really cool. So yeah, I'm glad that we got a chance to kind of touch base before we sign this whole thing off. I just happened to be in the Bay Area for a family lunch, and so being able to run down to your end of town and record something's been really, really cool. So, I don't know. Any final last thoughts before we sign off to all of the folks in podcast land?
I don't know. We should just say like so long as opposed to goodbye, right? Because who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And, and the Facebook
Your life
page,
has changed so many times over the last couple of years. Who knows how long this will go, right?
The Facebook community page will still be up. I will not be moderating it.
Right.
But it'll still be there, and folks can still hang out there. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on there.
Totally.
And, man, some of the models people have been posting.
I know.
Really cool stuff.
Totally.
Some really positive, good conversations. So join us there at the Facebook community page. And other than that, we will see you in the underworlds. And, of course, we have to end with the way it all began. Justin, the Keefer of Secrets. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Life's gotten kind of crazy for me lately, but
yeah. Well, yeah, we
many people
about that, saying why you weren't here, and that new job and crazy life and all that stuff. And as it turns out, my new job means that the whole thing's going to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
Congratulations, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah. So first things first, what's on the table? I've got champagne for our final
champagne. Episode. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to disappoint all the listeners, including you, because I'm actually doing Sober October.
Right? Oh, you're doing Sober October. Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah. So I'm 5 days in, and I haven't burned the house down, so that's good. I'm actually drinking cranberry and seltzer water.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah.
A cranberry spritzer, we'll call it.
Cranberry spritzer. So, apologize to all the listeners. It's kind of a bummer, but yeah, it feels good.
You know what?
Clear the head, and I've been focusing on the gym, and my job's been keeping me real physical, so it feels good.
Yeah, Sober October, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm super excited. So I haven't really talked yet too much about why we're ending, but there'll be a section with Anthony that's right before this, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it there.
Okay.
But just to kind of go over it again, Warhammer Store and Cafe, Los Angeles. I'm super excited. Get to start there next week.
Excited for your entire paychecks to go right back into that place.
Exactly right. Well, hey, get a discount on something that I'm already buying. Nothing wrong with that.
We'll work for plastic crack.
We'll work for plastic.
Cue Chappelle. Shazam. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's I'm really looking forward to doing it. I'm really looking forward to not being a manager. The last 20-something years of my career, I was a supervisor or manager, And now I just get to be one of the people helping to keep the shop clean and the shelves stocked and infecting young people with the plastic addiction.
Now, are you going to be part-time or full-time, or is that still
part-time?
Part-time, okay.
Employee. Yep. Part-time employee. But as with the holidays coming up,
who knows? Yeah,
I think part-time is going to be just a title.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But the store manager is a super cool guy, and I'm really looking forward to playing. I mean, one of the things we talked about on the show before the store opened, I went down there for a couple of 3 weeks on Friday evenings when they had the Monrovia Street Fair, and the manager and the staff were out front, getting people hyped up for the fact that the store was going to be opening soon. And then, of course, I was there opening morning and actually
harassing people.
Yeah, interviewing people and
interviewing
live
people.
video.
That's the one. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So I never in a million years thought that I might actually end up working there. So super excited for that.
It's a really cool feeling, like getting somebody started on the hobby journey, and then kind of seeing them, learn how to dry brush, learn how to just get all those little fundamental things in, and then see them kind of become an accomplished player. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I did some of it at Endgame, but not as it wasn't a job, right? It was just something I did as part of the events that we ran and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. I'm super jazzed. I mean, the downside is don't get to do this anymore, but I totally understand their reasons why. It makes a lot of sense. And so, hey, who knows? Maybe Eddie Eccles will add me to his social media team.
Yeah, that could work. You never know. Aim high. You got to have dreams.
There you go. Exactly. Young men have to have dreams, and so do I.
Hey, you've got a lot of experience you could put in that resume.
You go.
You're good.
There you go. So as we are heading forward, since people aren't going to be hearing from us anymore officially on the podcast, what does it look like for you in the hobby future with things like CK and stuff?
Lots of talks, with getting that ball rolling. Caleb has still been doing classes here and there. I think he just got back from Vegas where he was painting up like a Warhound Titan over like 2 days or something crazy, and showing off the airbrush. Yeah. As far as those are happening. We're talking about dates and locations. I think the plan is to do more one day classes just to kind of get people, kind of like ease them in a little bit, and kind of gauge the interest for the weekenders,
right?
For the full 2 day classes. But my plan is I'm going to teach a class with the Warhammer 40K Dark Eldar Venom as a 1 day class.
Oh, nice.
And I'll probably do the first one up at Heretic Games.
Okay, great.
And then the second one probably at Herrick Games, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to Sky Herrick's shop, but I have been to Heretic. We did a CK class there.
Yeah, they're very, very supportive. Yeah, it's a perfect venue. Yeah.
Yeah, they're one of the owners is actually a competition fencer. I knew her crowd from before she even was at the store, so it was kind of wild.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, the other thing it looks really cool that Caleb is doing and CK is doing is they're doing kind of these like master class bundle things at events like LVO.
Yeah,
where
you get a ton of stuff.
Right,
like
it's a fully immersive, like from A to Z kind of thing. They give you the airbrush and the compressor, and there's catered food, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and I have to say that
if you want to level up, write that check and get your butt in that seat.
Yeah, and when you look at the cost of the class versus all the stuff that you're getting, it's not bad
it's not that bad. Yeah,
not bad at all. And quite frankly, I was like, oh man, it's too bad I already have all this gear, because I would totally do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the most airbrushing I ever do and the best airbrushing I ever do is during those classes. But
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
We just got to get you to take it home and get that same experience at home.
Well, I'll tell you what, a couple weeks ago when I was going to be playing the Cafe Manager, a Path to Glory game, I had that endless spell that was not painted. And I was like, there's no way I can go in there and play this guy with an unpainted model.
Yeah.
And so I broke out the airbrush, primed it, base coated it, got it all going, did a couple details, and that Glade Worm endless spell, he actually has 2 eyes on each side, which I didn't realize till I was painting him. But yeah, I got it all. I mean, it's it looked good from 3 feet on the tabletop.
Yeah, that's all you need.
And the manager was like, "Holy cow, you did that this morning?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I couldn't embarrass myself."
There's never been game days where I was sitting there like, how much could I crank out? And I have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to kill.
Right, exactly.
What can we do here? Yeah.
The videos people have uploaded of them painting in their car outside the event and stuff like that.
Oh, jeez.
Guys driving to LVO with one guy driving, the other guy painting, and they switch off at the rest stops and stuff.
Jeez. Us, gamers, man, we're just procrastinators. It's just
That's what it is.
That's the way it is. Yeah.
So it's been a cool journey. I mean, we started with us teasing Carl about him not wanting to talk about Warhammer Fantasy Battle on the independent characters.
Yep.
And then all of us kind of being unbelievers when they blew up fantasy. And I know, at least for me, I was like, no, I'm not doing Sigmar. And then when 2.0 rolled around, the Lords and Heroes thing was like, well, let's do it. Let's start with 2.0 and let's rip off the Band-Aid and do it.
And now, of course, the square basing will be coming back before long as well. So
yeah, exactly. So so July 2018, we bought some gear and did some recording. And
this was all on you, man. You had the crazy idea, and I was like, he pays pretty good, so I suppose I could. Pays well.
Yeah, and so I figured, let's get some equipment and give this thing a go, and we did it. I mean, you're always good to talk, so and people love hearing your sultry voice.
The gift of gab and the baritone gets them every time. Yeah, I think it was a great idea for a show too. At first, I got to admit, I was kind of like, Adan, man, you really are crazy. The whole bar pub idea,
was it fun?
It was fun, Initially, I was kind of like, I had to get over my cool guy feel, Go, man, this is kind of how many people do this, really? And every time we would record, people would be, they would inevitably ask the questions, and yeah, it was fun though.
But it was cool. I mean, even at the at the bars, like that one woman turned around and she said, "Are you guys recording a podcast?" And she got really interested and into it. And people, every time people asked us about it, they were really cool about it.
The witch elf bartender.
Oh yeah, she was awesome. She was awesome. I bet you we could have got her painting if we wanted to.
Sure, had her do.
I'm not sure what she would have painted.
Yeah, little cameo from the bartender. Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun. And we found good bars, good pizza places.
Mm-hmm.
We found good places to go. So that was a good part of the journey as well. So
absolutely.
And so now the whole thing winds down, and we kind of head off into the sunset. So what's going to happen is, I think I'll probably end up at some point shutting down the Libsyn feed, which is what hosts all the shows, and they'll end up being archived on our YouTube channel, which most people don't know that we have, because we didn't really upload any content to it other than my gaming storage room.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually all the shows will be there, so if people end up looking for them, they would find them on YouTube. So I'm working on that in the next couple of days.
Very cool.
I start work. My first day at work is the 13th of October.
Coming up.
So everything will be finished and uploaded and done before then. So, one of these days when you come sliding down the state, it's so funny because people think, "Oh, you live in California? Well, have you been there?" It's like, no, dude, that's 500 miles away.
It turns out it's a pretty big state.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, 360 or something like that. Anyway, it's a long way.
Yeah.
The 5, 6, 7 hour drive, depending on traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. But for sure, yeah. Next time I go, make my way down, I'll stop in and
come down and visit Blake and Ed, and then go a little bit farther south and visit us at the cafe, and go a little bit farther south. Oh no, actually, I was going to say Doug Johnson, but he's actually up north now in Grass Valley.
That's right.
So,
I still have tons of family down there and all that. So
there you go.
There's always a good excuse to.
All right. Well, if you come down, I'll buy you a drink at the cafe.
Boom. And you can run me through an intro game. I want to hear your wah.
There you go. It's a full full espresso bar, and they've got cool pastries. Got this thing called squig hoppers. They're these little red. They're like cake pops without the pop.
Gotcha.
But they call them squig hoppers, and they look like they have little squig faces on them and stuff like that. They have a deal with the bakery across the street who makes it for them.
How cool is that, man?
Yeah, and then
That's awesome.
the taco place 2 doors down has a Fire Slayer's taco.
Okay.
And it actually has a picture of the Fire Slayer, the guy on the dragon thing. It's not a dragon. It's a what is that thing called? This thing here. What is that thing called?
You got me.
The Fire Slayer dragon looking thing.
The Fire Slayer dragon thing. That's exactly what that thing is.
So they have a picture of that on their menu, and the Dragon Slayer, the Fire Slayer taco has flaming hot Cheetos on it.
That makes perfect sense.
It doesn't. It's orange, right?
You know what? These days they're going to be shorthanded, and they're going to be like, Adan, can you get back there and make a Fire Slayer taco?
Hey man, no problem.
Can you whip me up a Slanesh's Delight?
Ooh,
I got you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about that one.
Whip me up. That was an unintentional Keeferdom.
Yeah, it was an unintentional Keeferdom for sure. So that's where things are going to go, and this has been a lot of fun. It's gone a lot of places that we didn't expect, but all of it has worked out really, really well. I mean, I kind of wish that I'd gotten a chance to do things like sharp practice and black powder and bolt action and that kind of stuff. Those were always kind of in the long range plan, but then ended up doing things like the Batman miniatures game, which I never expected to do.
So that's an interesting kind of thing. Like, if you were to shift it away from being like talking about Warhammer, could you have a pot and just talk about bolt action and not just keep the show going or anything, but you know what I mean? Like,
well, no, because technically you're talking about their competitors.
Interesting.
Right. So, it makes sense. They don't really want you, sending people to spend their money at the competitor.
Yeah.
So, especially since, if I'm working there, the whole idea is I'm working there. So
yeah. But
Huh. It's they've got a pretty good. Their policy, I think, is very well written, and I'm all good with it. I had a good talk with the manager about it, and it's all good. I'm super looking forward to this. I just can't tell you how geeked I am. I was out today buying work shoes today. Stuff like that. It was awesome.
That's funny because I still have waking nightmares of working there, but I know. I know they've changed a lot since I worked there, so you'll be fine.
I actually talked to our manager, who you also worked with back in the day, and
he's a great guy. It was more of like the upper management that was like, "Ooh-wee."
Yeah. Well, and he was saying that a lot of things have changed since Keeper's time. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and I know through obviously friend of the show, Mr. Dan Osborne. He managed the store for a long time, and yeah, things have changed quite a bit as they do and should, if they're not right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the other staff members at the store are excellent folks. I've had a great time interacting with them, and when they found out that I was going to be getting the job, they were super welcoming. We had some great talk. So I'm super looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Well, look, you clearly have a love of the hobby and a love of teaching people how to play games, and you're going to kill it. You're going to do just fine, and have fun while getting paid, and getting a little discount for yourself. So that's never a bad thing.
And I also I'm pretty good with the broom, and I know how to clean a toilet, and so I can do that stuff too. So it'll all work out. The one thing I'm worried about is, can I make a good latte? Getting that right consistency on the foam, that's an art form.
Yeah, I'm sure you can do some YouTube videos on that, and you'll be just fine.
Yes, I probably will too.
Some homework. Yeah. So you actually will be back there making drinks and stuff, huh?
Well, there's a guy who is like the lead barista guy. He actually is trained as a barista before he started working at the store. But he does cross-train everybody, so everybody has to learn how to do it. So
makes sense.
I don't know if I'd actually pull a whole shift there, but if he's in the restroom or whatever, if he's doing something else, you can say, hey, can you make that cappuccino for this guy? Sure. I remember that. A cappuccino. Yeah.
After you've done it a couple hundred times, you'll be fine. Just a couple hundred disappointed clients. Be all right.
It'll all be awesome. All the clients will be awesome.
For sure. Look forward to hearing about your experience there. For sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Justin, you got anything else that you want to throw out there before we head off into the sunset?
No, I mean, just thanks to all the listeners. I know I wasn't on the show, a ton with the whole Underworlds and this and that, the other thing. But every time I was on it, it always got warm, welcomes, and people seemed to dig the content. So that meant a lot to me. And it was fun. I just had a blast with it the times I was on, and thank you, sir.
Super enjoyed the Keeper of Secrets stuff that you came up with, and it was good stuff. And like I said, we had some good pizza, we had some good beer. So if nothing else, we had that. So that was awesome. The bad thing was the COVID thing and not being able to kind of hang out and actually record in person. But But hey, we got through it, and we still had the virtual pub, so that we didn't stop drinking, at least. So that was good.
Ain't that the truth? Hence Sober October.
And Sober October, yeah, exactly. Okay, well, Justin, with that, I think it's going to be time for one last drink.
All right, well, I have one of these. It's time for a St. Pauli's girl. So
there you go.
Clink.
And so long, and thanks for all the idleness.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's good.
So long, folks.
Cheers.
Lords and Heroes is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have any questions about its use, you can go to lordsandheroes.com. Artwork is by valleydweller.com, and the music is courtesy of Jake Tejada. Sound effects are via freesound.com.